This Clash at the Coliseum and Daytona 500 Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play Underdogs Pick'em for a chance to win 100x. Promo code SGPN at UnderdogFantasy.com for a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And there are only a few days left to get 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code playoffs.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. Sean, I hope you're here properly armed with opinions and picks for the show tonight. Because Kyle in the chat already wanting to make sure that we're going to have some picks on the horizon, maybe.
Oh man, we got to get to it if for the people not on X.
Oh, what do you mean? This is going to be the next week and a half of content.
People not involved in the drama surrounding my tweet that is making waves in the sports gambling universe, right?
So most of our audience who's reading their newspaper right now, enjoying a podcast over a cup of coffee at 5:30 in the morning.
All right, so this morning I listen, I check out content in the gambling space. I like to support my fellow sports gambling content creators, occasionally get some good nuggets. I like hearing people talk about betting on sports. I love betting on sports. I can listen to people talk about betting on football all fucking day. And if they get it right, if they get it wrong, whatever, I like hearing the breakdown. I like, why do you like this team? Why don't you like this team? There's nothing more annoying than listening to a sports gambling podcast where they're not actually gambling. They're just telling you. I listened to two separate podcasts, and I tweeted this out. Two separate podcasts where they said the Super Bowl was an efficient marketplace and that there was no edge on either the side or total. Pass for them on the Super Bowl. You can't pass the Super Bowl. It's the fucking Super Bowl. It is the biggest gambling event. If you're a sports gambling person, you gotta have a take on the Super Bowl. Okay, hey, maybe you want to bet more on props. Maybe you got some better plays. Sure, I don't give a shit. I could listen to Super Bowl bets all day long. I was trying to find people talking about what they liked on the fucking Super Bowl. How hard is that? And people are coming back at me. Oh, if you don't think you have an edge, if your model doesn't say, fuck you and your model. Tell me you Chiefs or 49ers. Tell me what you like. Tell me why you like them. We're going to do a whole week of shows talking about the fucking Super Bowl. You think we're not going to pick a side of the Super Bowl? My God. Some leans. A guy was going at me. A pick is different than an opinion. No, it's not. An opinion is you picking who you think's going to win the fucking game. Am I taking crazy pills? This guy who, his username is @degen4life84. And he goes, this is a joke, right? Because it's the Super Bowl. They have to have a play. And you wonder why almost everyone loses money. Yes, if you're a sports gambling show, you have to have a play on the Super Bowl. Those are the rules. And you can't call yourself DGen for life if you're passing the Super Bowl. You cannot pass the Super Bowl. You cannot go. You cannot collect $200, go directly to jail. Ryan had a good line. If you're riding the metro, then you can pass. If you're in Italy, then you can lean. This is America, where we have a thing called the fucking Super Bowl, and you decide what team you like, and you have a 50-50 shot of getting it right. We have the spread figured out. Don't be such a fucking pussy. My mom picks the winner of the Super Bowl.
I mean, it's literally land of the free, home of the brave, not home of the coward. Home of the Braves.
Oh, I don't want my syndicate to think I have my EV and like who are you hiding from? It's the Super Bowl. You should have an opinion on who's going to win the Super Bowl. Yes. If you're working for us and you're talking about the Super Bowl and your opinion is I don't have a thought on who's going to win the Super Bowl, why am I listening to your show? Why am I paying you money to host a podcast if you can't even pick who's going to win the Super Bowl? You might be wrong. It's fine. We're all here to enjoy talking about gambling. Why is this a crazy take, Ryan?
I really had. I mean, I know people will view it as me trolling, but I really did have an epiphany today that there are a lot of people that came to the sports gambling space because they saw opportunity and money, and they don't actually like to bet on sports.
I love gambling. Okay. So a number of people, top ranking person in the industry, Ryan, I'll predict his anonymity. Basically, echoing all my same theories, basically like you're right, but I don't want to get involved in this.
It goes deep, Sean.
which is probably a smart play. I didn't think it was going to be a big thing. He said your message pierced the heart of both miserable sharps and also complete pretenders who aspire to be miserable sharps because they don't know any better. What great. I mean, chef's kiss, nailed it, because they're these pro better simps online that are like, no, this is how you have to do it. Trust me, I know. I listen to pro betters. You don't know shit. You want me to pull back the curtain? Tell me who you like, and I'll tell you a good chance why they're a huge fucking loser in real life.
This is actually one of the few times where we also agree wholeheartedly with the tout industry. Gotta have a pick for the Super Bowl. Yes. It's the last game.
Come on.
Are we selling or what? You know what this is? This is because there's this whole world of young people.
They're afraid to lose. They're afraid to. Well, you know how many picks I've lost? A ton.
Sean,
Ryan and I. The life of picking every NFL game against the spread publicly since 2011 is clearly not for everyone. I might lose in public.
Sean,
grow a sack.
This is not satire. We were speaking to a group of college people who were looking to get into the sports media business. We were directly asked the question, how do you cope with the stress of having to be right all the time? I mean, that's the way the young person views it. They couldn't possibly handle the reaction and the social, like we're not as maybe tied to the social media. That's what it is. But it's these young people who they've come, maybe they're college educated, maybe they're just internet educated. We know there's a lot of those now. And they've seen words like efficient market, and they've seen those words put together. And all of a sudden they think that means I'm not smart enough to beat that thing. You want to talk about a beta activity?
It's hard. But betting the NFL is hard. I'm not going to do it. No.
Do you know who thinks
betting sides in total in the NFL is difficult? No, thanks.
Do you know who thinks the efficient market?
You know what else is hard? Storming the beaches of Normandy. Do you know what? When they were fucking unloading out of those boats on France, trying to save the fucking world, you think they went, oh hey, it's a little difficult. Our odds are kind of stacked against us in this. No, they were grabbing ladders. Another thing people are ripping us off of, and they were throwing them on the beach, and they were fucking, blowing up Kraut's heads left and right. And we lost a lot of good men out there. Thank you for your service. Thank you to everyone who's given service. It's really hard. Things that are hard to do are worth doing a lot of times.
Hey, you're describing Switzerland.
And no, I'm not a hero.
You're describing Switzerland. Switzerland is
it's a plus EV, not to have a side on this one.
Yeah.
World War II, we're gonna pass. Switzerland, you can't pass on World War II. We'll just keep an eye on the Nazi jewels. Come on, Switzerland, you can't do that.
We'll just hang out with the gold. We're totally not getting involved. Just gonna hang out with the gold, not getting paid or being involved. I think so what I was going to say is, do you know who thinks the efficient market hypothesis is bullshit? Warren Buffett.
Oh, wow.
Who I'm not like a deep, like economics, like finance major guy. I think Warren Buffett maybe knows what he's doing. And so go fuck yourself. Also, one other thing. Again, I'm having this moment where like there are I think a lot of our industry, Sean, are people that talk about betting but don't actually enjoy betting.
They're not about that life.
And for the first time,
it's like when Ja Rule was a rapper and talking about how he was a real thug. That's what happens in gambling content. There are people there are Ja Rules out there, Ryan, that are wanksters. They're fake. They're phony.
But I didn't actually see it from that perspective. I always thought the people who didn't bet everything they talked about were the people talking about the stupid bets. Little did I know, it's the model people. It's the people taking themselves seriously that don't actually make their bets. Because again, if they're terrified to have a losing record on social media, what do you think they're
gonna be terrified to lose their 20, 50, $100?
I mean, be lucky you just got to deal with some kid from India calling you to collect the $5,000 you owe, whatever credit card you advanced on it, and it's not some. By the way, the 60 Minutes piece, they said windbreakers, fucking tracksuits, bro. Like what the fuck? At least you didn't have to meet a guy with a tracksuit. Anyway. I found your brief love affair with understanding how easy it is to troll the internet. Sean was alive. Sean was alive. Anytime Sean was focused on the computer, he was just once again shocked at the responses he was getting to his.
I was.
You knew exactly what you were doing. There was caps involved.
I knew I was antagonizing a certain portion of the internet. I was poking the bear a little bit, but I mean these tout simps I didn't realize were so vocal. It's very funny. I mean, feel free to go to the thread and weigh in with your own thoughts about whether or not if you host the Sports Gambling Podcast, and some of the insults the guy was throwing at me were pretty funny.
Also, Sean, no one else can host the Sports Gambling Podcast. We have the trademark.
Literally have Sports Gambling Podcast trademark.
Yeah, how efficient is that market?
All right, Ryan, we're not here to yell at everyone in sports gambling.
Kind of.
It is fun. We are here. We are going to be talking some NASCAR with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast guys. A lot of fun checking in with them, getting their takes. But before we do that, of course, shout out to Little Caesars. No one can argue that Little Caesars is the pizza. It's a perfect pizza. It really is. It's you get the pizza pregame all day, NFL Sundays, game days, including Pro Bowl Sunday, little flag football, little Caesars. It's enough to get you through to the Super Bowl. And of course, Super Bowl. Oh man, Ryan, we're hosting a Super Bowl party here. We're going to be loading up on some Little C's, get that pretzel crust, the pepperoni piled high. Oh man, so delicious. All the toppings you crave, Little Caesars wings, the brownies. I love it all. The dipping sauce, amazing. You can get it delivered or our in-store pizza portal pickup. Grab some friends and enjoy a few slices during the game. The 4 P's: pizza, playoffs, pretzel, pepperoni. Little C's has them all. Little Caesars pizza. Right. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and available in 40 states. And if you are trying to get the best price, getting it head to head, you're eliminating the middleman. Middleman's never done anything great for any sort of brokerage or deals. They're always just trying to get their taste. Cut is great because you can literally. Ryan wanted action on the Ravens money line. I wanted action on the Chiefs money line. We can find a great price for us both, and we both win. I obviously won a little bit more because I had the Chiefs, but it is an awesome opportunity and really cool opportunity for the Super Bowl, because anything that has a verifiable outcome, you can hit up Cut and go, hey, I'd like to see, Isaiah Pacheco rushing yards, or Isaiah Pacheco, what would it be? Receptions versus Kyle Busch's finishing position. Ooh. You set your own odds. You tell Cut can get that bet listed. And if you get someone on the other side, people thought I was crazy for my, Patrick Mahomes have more rush yards than Lamar Jackson. Ultimately 9-1, while it was a fun price, didn't hit. So someone got my $100 by taking the opposite side of it. Cut is, you want to talk about actual efficient marketplaces, Ryan? Cut is it. You can download Cut today in the App Store or over at KUTT.com. That's KUTT, and use promo code SGPN. Get a 10% deposit bonus. Cut.com. All right, Kramer. Now joining us, the host of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We got Cody Zeeb. and Rod Villagomez, aka Hot Rod. Rod, what's happening, man? How we doing?
I am so stoked to be on the big show today to talk about NASCAR, and the fact that you actually devoted an entire episode to it this time. I gotta say, it is an honor and a privilege of me. Some Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Gotta love the CFL. You make me sad that I didn't wear my my Ottawa Red Blacks hoodie.
Oh yes. Yeah, a lot going on here.
Just wanted to show people I know ball.
You do know ball. Shout out to Kyle in the chat who hooked us up with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers t-shirt.
It's so soft. I mean, honestly,
great t-shirt quality.
Made in Canada means something different to me now.
And I'm rocking the new. Jake came up with these "Let It Ride" $ signs. Again, you cannot wear these shirts if you don't have a pick for the Super Bowl. So if you're thinking of passing on the Super Bowl, never listen to one of our shows, never buy any piece of merch. I don't care how much money it costs us or the company or me personally. I don't want your bullshit business. Joining us, a man that is a true degen. I know because he manages 138 fantasy leagues and still has time to host and be a good dad and a full-time job. Cody Zeeb. What's up, Cody?
Can you tell me more about this Super Bowl? What's in this bowl? What's it about? Are you talking about the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl racing? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh yes.
Look at that. Yeah, I mean,
Cody, just for the folks, so they know your DJing credits. How many leagues were you involved in this past football season?
I believe it was around 60, like active managed ones. Best ball doesn't count because that's
best ball doesn't count.
No,
you're right. Because Kramer,
it's a lot of dynasties, so they're low maintenance in season. It gives me something to do all year, and it's a lot of fun.
And one day you can teach your kid how to do it, so you can completely delegate the.
She's already getting the lessons. So
all right,
I'm sure Cody knows how to delegate work. I'm sure he's already coming up with ways to pawn off some of that. All right, guys. So let's talk. We got Clash at the Coliseum. We got some early looks for the Daytona 500, but let's talk big picture, just overall NASCAR betting. I think overall strategy, you take a couple sprinkles, maybe on some outrights, but really you find some good value getting down on some head-to-heads. Like Rod, your typical, let's say you had 10 hypothetical units to bet on NASCAR this weekend. How would you break that up generally? Like what's your approach?
So we tend, especially now, this is kind of a race where we could say we go a little bit lighter on the outrights because the odds are a little bit longer on these ones since it's a race that nobody really knows what's going to happen. It's almost a super speedway type of style. So you could probably take 2 units, throw it on an outright, but where you really want to sink your money, like you said, is on some of these head-to-head markets, these place like top 5, top 10, top 3 in some cases. There's manufacturers, there's winning car numbers. I mean, there's all sorts of space to put it on. So, I mean, pick a couple of units and throw it on your favorite head-to-head, pick a couple more units and put it on a car number. I love car numbers. We'll get to one later on. And again, there's just so many markets and there's so many more that are being bet. A lot of people think that the only way you can bet on NASCAR is by betting on the guy that's going to win the race. But if you do that, you're going to lose more than you win. So the best bet is to find those head-to-heads, find the edge where you can kind of get in and actually win money on a week-to-week basis, which is what we do.
It's like golf. That's the best. The best. Yeah. If you're a TMZ gambling guy, you've probably dabbled on golf and you've realized, well, you can bet on the one guy that's going to win the whole thing, or you can bet on all this other shit. And as someone who kind of fell into racing, you very quickly realize that there's a lot of information to be had, and most people, even though it's not that complex or too dumb or too impatient to want to consume it all. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff, I would imagine these guys have had a lot of their success just having knowledge about who does well where, whose engines are geared up for whatever type of track it is. And like you were saying, even as a TMZ guy, I know that the super speedway stuff, you just fire long shots. That's almost like a first touchdown market, Sean.
Oh, I like that. now, Cody, to Ryan's point.
Don't you remember last year we moved the market at the circa when we made our bet on whatever insane long shot who?
Yeah, it was like 1,000 to 1, and they moved it to 750 to 1.
I bet one of us bet, and then before the other one bet, the price moved.
I'm like, Kramer had 1,000 to 1, and I had 750 to 1. I'm like, what the hell? I almost was rooting against the pick because I didn't want us to win and then Ryan to have like, $5,000 more than me off the same driver because he put it in 2 minutes ahead of me.
I had the same feeling after placing that bet as I did like when you buy a lottery ticket when Powerball's at like 1 billion.
Yeah,
I immediately started spending the money.
Not worth it. Cody, what would you say has been your most successful NASCAR betting strategy? Is it maybe, hey, this type of driver on this type of track, this type of car, driver history? Like what you open up Clash at the Coliseum.
That's kind of a gimmick too. That's the other thing.
So maybe it's not a great one, but like your typical NASCAR week, what's the first thing you're looking at? Maybe pole position, like kind of walk us through the process, I guess.
Yeah, I think Kramer made a really good point. Something we really focus on a lot is certain drivers are really good at certain track styles, not good at other track styles. Like a guy like Chase Briscoe, for example, last year, you get to these short, flat tracks. Rod's laughing because every time we get to this type of track, like the Coliseum is, like, I'm going to have bets on the guy this weekend. Love him. And then 2 races down the road when we're in Las Vegas or whatever is next up on the schedule, it's a 1.5 miles. His sponsor is Mahindra Tractor, and he takes it literally, and he's driving a Mahindra Tractor because he's the slowest fucking car out there. And so you bet against him because, and then you get back to a short flat down the road. The books have seemingly forgot that he's good at those. You get the good odds. So I think that's definitely something to hit on. But yeah, it varies so much from track to track, whatever style of track you're on. Each track style is going to have something different. A race like this, like Rod said, it is an exhibition, so you've got to take that into an account. It's a really small. It's literally inside of a football field, so it's a 1/4 mile, right? And so there's a lot of beating and banging. Going to be some crazy stuff. You go to superspeedway at Daytona in a couple weeks. That is almost throwing darts at the wall. I for our DFS lineups, I literally have my daughter draw numbers out of my hat to set lineups. I've won a fair amount of money doing that in the past. So yeah, it's just track dependent. You're targeting different things, but like Rod said, there's so many different markets. I mean, this race last year, we had Ryan Preece to be the top finishing Ford driver, 33-1. He dominated half the race, looked good, had a problem, slipped back, but he still was the top finishing Ford. So you catch a big bet like that. And so, yeah, there's all sorts of different markets, and there's definitely some good advantages to be had.
I'm tempted to go down to go to this, Sean.
Really?
In LA, I'm going to be down there in that area at the time too. I'm considering going down for Friday or
Saturday. Saturday's completely free. You can just walk right in, take in the action. You should definitely go because it's a race in person. If you've never been to one, there's really nothing like it.
It is. I have memories of going to the Pocono Speedway and just watching people bring wagons of Busch Light 30 packs into these things. They were BYOB back then. You could just
some tracks still are.
Right? Still do it like
Kansas. I go down to Kansas Speedway all the time. Your cooler has to be a certain size, but as much beer as you can fit in that cooler, you're welcome to bring in.
I still remember.
That's a great sport right there. I mean,
any sport that's BYOB, count me in.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the Pocono racetrack a couple times growing up as a kid, and I do remember I stole a Chromie from Rusty Wallace's tire. That was like what I was like. Oh man, I'm a legend because they had a bunch of tires, and I stole a Chromie and then put it on my bike. I felt like a real badass.
I never heard that. Real fucking rebel.
I think I have a Rusty Wallace autograph somewhere.
I got the Rusty Wallace jacket hanging.
Yeah, you do.
Oh hell yeah! Look at that. Yeah. Cody has a real like garage setup. It looks.
Cody looks like a pro.
The picture's not big enough, but there's actually a Rusty Wallace like fender quarter panel over there.
Oh wow!
I don't know if I still think you can see it, but
the whole room looks nice. I mean, you don't look like someone who passes.
No.
I take it. Yeah, you're gonna give it to me. Whatever. I'll add it to the collection. I can find a spot.
All right. So for this track itself, it sounds like Clash at the Coliseum. What I'm picking up on is it is an exhibition, aka it's a free for all, aka we're looking at some barking dogs, perhaps some long shots. Not maybe a track you want to be betting chalky because to your point, it seems like it's kind of wide open. Rod, what are we looking for here at the Clash at the Coliseum?
So there's a couple things that we're looking at, and obviously one of them is just how well these guys do on these short flat tracks. And plus, we're also looking at some of the guys that have done well on these tracks in general. I mean, Martin Truex Jr. obviously won this race last season, and we thought he was retired. I mean, we basically had called him retired at the end of last year. Comes out, wins the Clash, and has a hell of a regular season. So really, again, this is a race that's unlike any other because first we have heat races to even get us in there in the first place. And then even before that, you got to practice that'll set the heat races. There's a lot of preliminary jargon that goes on before this race. So, and starting positions really won't mean much in this either, because on a quarter-mile track, there's a lot to catch up on. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for these longer odd guys. I'll tell you right now, Kyle Larson starts at plus 850 to win this race, followed by Martin Truex at plus 850 as well. These are the two favorites. I couldn't even blame you if you wanted to bet one of these favorites at 850, right? I mean, that's a pretty decent already starting mark. But then you look forward, you got guys like Undercover, right? Ryan Blaney at 10-1. You got a guy like Joey Logano who can come out and win out of nowhere at 11-1. So you're kind of looking for these guys that are in this area. Ryan Preece, 22-1. Talked about him being the top Ford last year. A guy like Tyler Reddick, who Cody is ridiculously high on at 20-1. Chase Briscoe, who we just talked about, 25-1. To win this race. Like Ryan had said earlier, it's like a first touchdown bet. You pick the four drivers that you really want to kind of go for and sort of sprinkle a quarter unit on all of those to get. So
is the short circle track more like a road circuit than it is an oval when it comes to handicapping the drivers?
No, because road courses you at least have a lot more. I would say that this short track especially, and I think Cody would agree, this is almost like a super speedway in that, there's a lot more action in a limited space. So we're probably going to get a couple of dings and dunks and players drivers not finishing the race.
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of a cross between. It's not full super speedway where literally we get to Daytona in a couple of weeks, anybody in the field can win. I mean, the last three winners we've had have all been, I think you've had two of them north of 60-1. One was like 35-1. So you're getting the bigger numbers here. It is more like there's kind of a sweet spot in that, like 15 to 30 range. That's really where you want to target some guys. But yeah, I think Rod really hit really well on what you're kind of looking at going into this.
See, I heard Joey Logano, and I knew my one of my few NASCAR nuggets is that he's good on road courses. So I overreach.
I don't know where you're getting your NASCAR nuggets.
I overstepped
I think they're out of date. I think he did win one in like 2009, maybe.
My peak NASCAR was when I was betting on Smoke all the time, aka Tony Stewart.
He owns four cars now.
Who's the guy that everyone makes fun of for being a fan of? It's Jeff Gordon, right?
Yeah, Jeff Gordon.
So like you insult someone by calling them a Jeff Gordon fan.
That's what we've been told. Yeah.
What about Cody? What about
City Slicker?
What about Ryan Preece? I'm seeing him 22-1, as you mentioned. Had a little bit of equipment issue, but was the top four driver last year at the Coliseum. How do you like his chances coming into this race?
Yeah, I love him. Obviously, the books have adjusted a lot. We got him 33-1 to be the top finishing Ford last year.
Yeah,
now he's 22-1 to win
it all.
So, but I still love him. Actually, he's one of the guys that I have written down, going to be one of my outright picks this week. I love him. He led 43 laps last year, was absolutely dominant. Later on in the season, goes to Martinsville, which is the most comparable track to this one. There's not really any exact comparisons because this is, again, literally, if you don't know, they've built a temporary track on top of the USC football field inside of the Coliseum in LA.
Tiny.
It's inside of so it's go to your local football field and the quarter-mile track around the outside. That's the size of this track.
A fun way to look at it, or a fun way to realize what they've done, or see the juxtaposition, is go look up. Virginia Tech played Tennessee in the middle of Bristol Speedway.
Yeah,
which I that's not a huge speedway if I'm not mistaken, and the football field looks fucking tiny. Like if you sat in the grandstand, you're like, what the fuck am I watching here? Like I'm like 200 yards away from the football field, and you see how tiny this football field looks in the infield of an oval, and they've put a oval inside of that.
Yeah,
and it's just
it's incredibly small. But Ryan Preece, I mean, yeah, he's going to be a really good guy to hit in the outright market. We're still pretty much waiting for most of the prop bets. There's a few, way out there stuff. I'm seeing him 6-1 for a top 3. So probably be plus 350, plus 300 for a top 5. Really, really like that. I'm going to be interested in his top 4 number again. It's not going to be as big as it was last year, but he'll definitely be worth looking for. He's got a history, this type of racing. He came up in the modifieds on the short flat tracks. This fits his style of racing. Again, this isn't a guy we're going to be talking about a ton throughout the season, but one of these guys.
This is good matchup for him.
Do the drivers like this race?
It's a mixed bag, I think.
Interesting.
Depends who you ask.
They probably don't like having to come to California and Los Angeles.
What they really don't like more than anything is just the fact that it is sort of a gimmicky type of, and I know the Clash has been sort of a gimmicky race anyways. It's that kickoff to the season, but this is even more gimmicky. And I think it took them a couple of years. This is the last year of the deal. They may not even have it here again. We don't know. So yeah, I mean, they may be just saying bon voyage when this is all over.
Let's try it in a basketball arena. Let's get real crazy.
Put it on an aircraft carrier next.
Dude, that would be awesome. Now we're talking.
Cody.
I mean, they can play basketball games out there.
This is what we're talking about.
Just get a couple aircraft carriers together.
No. You got an oval of aircraft carriers.
You probably have to be like a square, maybe a triangle.
It's like a Mario Kart board.
Yeah, I like this.
I was in the Navy.
We got NASCAR all figured out. All right,
I'll see if I can hit some contacts up.
Another driver I'm throwing out here. Cody, Noah Gragson, bit of a long shot, maybe a top Ford racer. You're laughing. Am I crazy? Is there a chance? Noah G.
This is interesting. I don't know that I would pull the trigger on him, depending on what number you're getting at. So he switched teams in the off season, and he's going to race for Smoke's team now, Tony Stewart's team.
Nice.
And that team has traditionally been really good on this types of tracks. He's not necessarily a guy. He's a very good talent, but young, unpolished. Not necessarily a guy you think of when you get here. The team's been good in the past. He's Ryan Preece's teammate. Chase Briscoe, who we mentioned earlier, also his teammate. So they're very good, but probably not a guy that I would really consider. I want to see him kind of get his feet wet with this. He was also suspended for the second half of the season last year.
Bad boy.
He's a little bit of a bad boy. When I was at Kansas Speedway, he was the guy that was in the fight that I was there
so
with.
I like this guy.
Road, so. But yeah, probably not a guy I would too much consider betting this weekend.
Okay, so Ryan Preece, maybe Noah Gragson, too far out. Rod, who else? You kind of hit on some of the chalkier guys. What are some mid-range guys worth firing on? Or
give Sean a long shot.
Yeah, a long shot, or maybe some matchup stuff you like for the Clash at the Coliseum.
Well, first of all, I want the over under on the number of inches that Gragson's fire suit will be down. That dude loves to pull down that zipper.
Oh, really?
Really? Whoa. All right.
Yeah,
so, does he wear a shirt under there, or is it just?
Oh no, he's got the hairy chest.
Interesting.
There we go.
He's also got a thing. So when he was in the Xfinity Series, which is the step down from the Cup Series, and he gets really nervous at the end of races, and so he'll hold his breath for the last 10 laps. And then when he gets out and he's celebrating, he throws up every single time because he's been holding his breath from being.
This is like a Will Ferrell character or something. This is amazing.
He truly is.
If they do the Daytona, the Talladega Nights thing again, he may end up being Ricky Bobby out of it.
Come on! All right, Cody almost talked me out of him, but then the more I learn about him, the more we gotta bet on this guy.
Yeah, you got it.
As played by.
You want a longer one? I'll give you a longer one. Let's go John Hunter Nemechek. He's 100 to 1.
Okay.
John Hunter Nemechek is taking over the 42 car for, wait for it, Cody, Legacy Motor Club. And so this is a guy that is coming up from the Xfinity Series, fast as hell down there in that series, and basically was one of the better cars all year long. Now he gets a Cup ride. I'm not counting. I mean, he's a former Cup guy himself. I mean, this is a guy who went back down to come back up again. And at 100 to 1, I mean, we've loved John Hunter Nemechek, and he can hang with the big dogs. He was racing around with them last season as well toward the end of it. So again, if all things are equal, and this Legacy Motor Club now moving over to Toyota, they're getting there. So, and Toyotas have been fast. I mean, we know that Gibbs Racing is fast. We know the 2311 is fast. So these guys are going to get a little bit more of a bump. So John Hunter at 100 to 1 is a shot I'd like to take.
One thing I would note too, just real quick on these longer shots, guy like John Hunter is definitely a guy I would circle. There's a couple others, but if you look at these guys in this 100-1 range and you find someone you like, look for their top 10 odds when they come out.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, you're going to get 12, 10, 15-1, somewhere in that range. That's what you're really going to like, because them winning, it truly is a long shot, but they can definitely be in contention. So yeah, like Rod said, I think a guy like John Hunter is a guy you could circle. Justin Haley's actually a little bit sneaky. He switched teams to a not as good team, but he's been really good on this track specifically in the past. So yeah, there's definitely some guys farther down the board that you can kind of take a look at and then more target them for their top 10s, or if you really want to get dicey, a top 5 finish rather than taking them to win.
This is like first touchdown, anytime touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, that was honestly going to be my next question. Are these guys outright or nothing because it is a dart throw, or to your point of like, hey, if you like them, play them in the top 10 because there's a chance they still. These are probably like Mercedes Lewis type guys where hey, 100-1 first touchdown, but still anytime touchdown, aka top 10. 12-1.
I mean, $10 gets you $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, come
it's
on.
One of those things where he can get in the end zone. Is he going to get there the first time? Maybe not. But he'll find his way to the end zone and finish.
Why not just bet both? And we'll call it a slight hedge, or we'll just call it diversifying our investment.
Right. I'm going to be in quite the quandary. It's like, do I spin the slot machine 4 times, or do I put $12 on Justin Haley at 100-1? Either way, I'm chasing that. I
have 4 names clicked so far. I'm just listening to the show.
I will say, if you do take a long shot like outright, you almost want to have a top 10 on them, because if they have a really strong day, and you finish in the top 10, you're going to be kicking yourself if you didn't. If you only took him for the outright.
$10 on the outright, $40 on the top 10.
That sounds about right, right?
You are a seasoned NASCAR bettor.
Yeah, we're already. Guys, we're gonna take over the show.
Just a market dynamics guy.
All right, so Ryan Parise, Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek, Justin Haley, Cody. Is there another guy that's worth breaking down before we maybe move on to Daytona? Who have we not hit on here that you think's kind of interesting?
Yeah, I'd say going back up more towards the top of the board. Tyler Reddick. Rod, I know. It's a little less sexy, but you're still getting some good numbers. That's the great thing about betting on NASCAR is we talk about this often, but you go to football and it's like you get a plus 120 bet and it's like, oh, that's pretty nice. And like in NASCAR, if you're only getting plus 120, it's like, man, this just isn't great. It's not. It doesn't feel that good. But Tyler Reddick, he's 18-1 to win this thing. Like Rod said, I am extremely. If you take one thing away from this show, you want to go into this season with Tyler Reddick. Just bet him everything. There's a win total out there for him, over 1.5 races, championship. He is going to be the guy that really takes over this season, I think, and I think it could start this year. He finished 6th place last year, so he's kind of in the mix. Led 51 laps and was absolutely dominating this race 2 years ago before he was taken out, stuffed into the wall, and didn't finish. But he's at 18-1. I think it's a really, really good price. I think he's a really solid guy. And I think his really great season that I'm looking forward to is going to start this weekend.
Yeah. All right. Add him to the list. We got a bunch of questions in the chat. Shout out to the chat. Stephen Williams wants to know, is there a good site for looking up the paint schemes? It's how my daughter makes my NASCAR picks for me. That's a solid strategy. Actually, just honestly, if you go on the NASCAR app or NASCAR's website, they'll put out a paint scheme preview every week. It doesn't always have all of them, but that's where you can usually catch it.
And Twitter,
Twitter, if you go to each team individually, they'll all share their schemes. But there it is, Josh. Shout out to Josh. Man. That's Noah Gragson.
That is nice pull.
So you're saying not to bet on this guy?
Sure? I'm saying go for it, man. Put all your chips in there.
No, dude, this guy is cool.
This is Danny McBride.
Your mom and your bank account.
I know.
For the old school NASCAR fans, this is the Tim Richmond of today.
I don't want my wife to see this episode. She may leave me for Noah Gragson. YouTube.com/Sports Gambling Podcast. You got the visuals are amazing.
All right, so we're real quick. Tyler Reddick to win the Cup championship. You like that bet?
Yeah, 16-1. I think is what I saw him at recently. Yep.
All right.
I love it.
Just to have rooting interest in the season, I'm going to place a $250 bet on Tyler Reddick right now.
Love
Let's
it.
Get it.
I'm so confident in Tyler Reddick this season.
Let's go.
This might be the most confident I've been on a driver.
I'm into NASCAR this year.
And to be clear, though, this doesn't count towards the Cup Series, though, right? Because it's an exhibition.
Yeah, this race does not. There's there's 2 races throughout the season that don't count. It's this one, and then they do have an all-star race in the middle of the season.
I was actually seeing. I was just trolling around, reading about how this is the last year for the Clash. It sounds like NASCAR is going to turn this into like an NFL draft almost. It might just be a traveling road show.
Yeah, it has potential. It's tough weather-wise because you have to take that into consideration this time of year. Although it looks like it might rain this weekend in LA, of course. But yeah, they do have to
already underwater.
Yeah, they do have to take that into consideration. But yeah, there's a possibility that this will move, to different stadiums or other types of venues like this. They did last season. They raced on the streets of Chicago, something that F1 and IndyCar does all the time, but NASCAR had never done. They had a dirt race the last couple of years. That's been taken off the schedule now. But yeah, they've been trying a lot of different things, and everybody just thinks, just left turns, but really it's not that anymore. There's a ton of road courses. You got the street courses in there and different circuits. I mean, yeah, just left turns, but this is on a quarter mile. You're stuffing a bunch of big, fast cars in this little track. It gets pretty exciting.
Quote from the guy who heads up NASCAR: "If you're not growing, you're shrinking." I like the strategy. I mean, it's at least they're trying stuff.
No,
and by the way, Vegas has a new street circuit. Maybe they should tap into that bad boy. Imagine
we had that conversation.
The rodeo, when it takes over Vegas, it's quite a scene to be in Vegas. Just seeing all these cowboys and all. I would imagine a NASCAR event. I mean, a NASCAR street circuit would be insane.
Yeah, they do have 2 races on the oval there every year. To put it on the street would be something completely different.
Yeah, there's a course just outside of Vegas. And back when I was working for MTV.com, they sent me to cover a race there, and I got to interview Dale Earnhardt Jr. It was awesome. Oh wow! And I got to hang out and watch the race at Pit Row. So what is that course? That's just out.
It's the Vegas Speedway, right?
Yeah, that place is
Las Vegas,
a fun time.
It's just a mile and a half oval track. It's kind of the cookie cutter track of NASCAR.
Make sure you're hydrated, because out there in the desert drinking a bunch, you could, and you're doing Vegas, you could get pretty dehydrated.
I'm not the biggest like motorsports guy, but isn't that where the IndyCar or whoever had the issue where the guys were passing out because they were putting too much energy through their bodies? It's like super banked, right?
It is. I don't remember if it was Vegas specifically, but that type of track for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, it's like it was pretty wild.
These guys are pulling a massive amount of G's on these tracks, and it's
and it's wild too. Like if you haven't ever gotten into the physics of what happens when like a normal flat turn, you're in an F1 car. They always show that G meter. It's full sideways, like you're going to the side. But when you get this bank, it's going through it's like crushing you. So like it's no longer pushing you to this. It's like you're crushing your and so basically the blood was rushing down from this dude's head and just basically going on. So that's a different kind of that's like an astronaut preparedness, right? Like kind of like football, right? It's not safe for everyone. You know what? NASCAR's not safe for everyone. I don't see anyone protesting. Like
we're gonna pass. Whoa. We're gonna pass on the class.
Whoa, guys!
Pass on the class.
We got to be careful. You see these drivers? They're going so fast, they might get hurt. We got to stop them. We got to do something about this. Ridiculous.
All right. Hey, we do have one more question, and then we'll get to some Daytona 500 stuff. The JDK in the chat saying the NASCAR version of the ladder is the car lift. Like where his head's at there.
God. Where is JDK is one of our big listeners, is always in the chat, always in the Discord. Why is he not? We're taking this over. The car lift will officially be happening.
Yeah, the airlift. Like,
can we get a sound effect?
Okay, Rod. That's go ahead and write that down. We're gonna get that done.
There we go. And we have the car lift.
But yeah, that's perfect. This is perfect to lead into the Daytona 500 thing. Okay, there's a guy. Well, go ahead.
Right. Hold on that thought.
All right.
Of course, Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't signed up over on UnderdogFantasy.com, What are you waiting for, Ryan? We cashed the underdog entry we gave out for what was it? Tuesday or today's college basketball picks. The episode we taped on Monday did see a nice cash there. Shout out to threatening Colby and making him give us winners.
He was nervous.
Yeah, he was. We put a little heat on him. Plenty of sports to get down on over on old underdogfantasy.com. Of course, the Super Bowl. We got MLB right around the corner. College basketball, NBA. Higher, lower, very easy to fire away over on Underdog Fantasy, and use the promo code SGPN. 100% deposit match. You essentially get free $100. You deposit $100. Play the pick'em. You can win. I mean, you can go crazy on the pick'em if you really want to get spicy. You can win 100x. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN, and we are also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. That's right. Bet smarter, not harder, with Hall of Fame Bets and their parlay optimizer. Sure, a lot of people are going to be getting down on some same game parlays for the Super Bowl, and of course, you want a little EV. I know everyone's a EV honk, and yes, lots to get to over there. Go to HOFBets.com or download the Hall of Fame Bets app. Again, it's just you got 4 legs to a table. You want to get rid of the wobbly one. 4 legs to a parlay. Hall of Fame Bets helps you identify wobbly legs. Get rid of them. Start betting smarter, not harder. Use code SGPN. Get 50% off your first month, or download the Hall of Fame Bets app at HOFBets.com. And we're back. Going to be moving over to Daytona 500. Gentlemen, start your engines, Cody.
Well, and real quick.
We got a NASCAR.
Even before this, I was going to point out that Underdog does have NASCAR stuff.
Yes.
Once the season gets going.
Awesome.
Yeah, you
and
can
we have an episode every week too where we'll give out our underdog picks with our DFS stuff. And yeah, we cover all 3 of NASCAR's top series. And Underdog provides picks for all of them, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
AKA minor league NASCAR.
Oh, love it.
Truck series, probably an edge. I would imagine it's probably a pretty inefficient market, in fact, since it's the topic. Anyway, yeah.
They gave us ARCA. We'd cover ARCA too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's like
that's
NAIA of racing.
It is. Yeah. An Xfinity, right. Huge advantage.
Rod, before we get to Daytona 500, we got Rod. Tell us about the contest you guys are running.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, we're trying to up our numbers for YouTube, so we're going to help you out. In the meantime, we're going to have the Daytona 500 contest. All you got to do, take a screenshot of you following us on YouTube. Go to the Sports Gambling Podcast website, and then click on it and enter that. You'll get a $100 grand prize of cash and a $100 merch store gift card, so you can get that hat as well. If you want more information, go to the Discord. That's how we funnel you in there. Discord's got it pinned at the top. You can find the link to it. And yeah, man, get in there. We want you to win this prize. Not everybody's going to win it, but one of you lucky drivers can do it.
I would imagine if you showed up to a NASCAR event with the hat that Sean's wearing, you get your ass kicked.
Oh, come on.
Oh no, dude, NASCAR retro throwback stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's in that.
Come on. You blast some yacht rock in my RV.
Really?
Chris, baby, let's go.
What the fuck is going on?
There's an entire race, Darlington, South Carolina, every year that they do. It's all throwback paint schemes, and then like everyone in the stands is all in throwback NASCAR gear. It's beautiful.
Whoa.
Sailing.
Unisex bathroom.
So yeah, Cody, we had just started talking the JDK throughout our version or your version now of NASCAR being the airlift, the ladder, or the car lift, which is kind of an airlift. And you said great transition to Daytona 500. So of course, Sunday after the Super Bowl, you're going through football withdrawals. You've already subscribed to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast because you need your fix. You're getting into motorsports. What are we looking forward to for the Daytona 500?
Yeah, that's Daytona 500 super speedway racing. I always say it on the show. It's my favorite style of racing to bet on. It's the trickiest and has the widest range of outcomes, which makes it fun because there is a lot of big numbers you can hit. That's the perfect place to bring in the car lift. And you find a guy, Corey LaJoie is my guy on super speedways. We were a lap and a half away from cashing him 250 to 1 outright a couple of years ago. So freaking close.
I think we also had Yeah, I think we sprinkled that as well because we hit up Cody and said who to get on. Corey LaJoie. Are we running it back?
It's a great name.
Oh yes,
too,
he's my. I have I go analog here, so I bring my own picture of the car.
yes.
I keep it right here. Look at that beautiful hair.
Photo.
How do you the flowing locks of Corey LaJoie here? I don't know how you
love it. How does that fit into a helmet?
He he's unfortunately he doesn't have the hair anymore. But
wait, hold on a second. I got a quick follow up question. Where is that picture relative to where you sit?
It's
like
right here, within reach.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's looking at me. He's right here. He's always in reach. Anytime he's mentioned on the show, he comes up. But Corey LaJoie has made me an ass ton of money over the years.
Yes.
He's my favorite driver. So anyways, he's the perfect driver to run the car lift on. You bet him top 5. You bet him, you bet him
I love this.
Top 10, top 5, top 3. You bet him outright. You bet him to be the top finishing Chevrolet. You take the whole gamut on him. And yeah, I mean, you really have the opportunity if you hit it right, and if the wrecks fall your way, to cash really big bets at places like Daytona, which is always a lot of fun.
So he's outright. He's looking at 100 to 1 right now. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah,
Cody?
yeah. You can get him 100 to 1, and then you'll probably get his top Chevrolet will be somewhere around that 33, 35 to 1. That's usually a pretty good one. And then you just ride that number all the way, up to his top 10, whatever you're able to get on him. It's always he's paid off for me a lot of money over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just have to write down, just like we do in college basketball. We just have to start writing these guys' names down.
Yes, keep an eye on Corey LaJoie.
And just system play.
100%. Rod, what's jumping out at you? I know you probably don't have the same man crush that Cody has on Corey LaJoie, but do you have a long shot? Do you have a mid range? Daytona 500. It's a couple weeks out, but what do we like?
I don't have the same man crush on LaJoie, but I do have a bigger man crush on Jimmy Johnson. He's 75 to 1 to win this race in his number 84 Legacy Motor Club car. If I'm going to throw a dart, I'm going to throw a dart at a dude that's broken every single record that's out there as far as just being a maniac in the car. So Jimmy Johnson 75 to 1 is a fantastic swing for me. The guy got his season cut, I don't want to say cut short because he was only running a few races anyways, but didn't get to run all the races. He got crashed out of one of the races. So this is his big, chance to get back in the seat and do something good for that. So definitely love me some Jimmy Johnson. We haven't brought up either Bubba Wallace or Ty Gibbs yet on this as well. Ty Gibbs 25 to 1. Obviously a talented driver in his own right, Xfinity champion. In his second year now as a full-time driver, so a little more experience under his belt. I think that he's going to have a good season. And, he laid a little low on super speedways last year, but now with Toyota having yet another, the only problem is that Toyota never really had as many cars in the field as Chevy and Ford. Therefore, they weren't necessarily at an advantage. This year with Legacy joining the club, see what I did there? Now they've got... Now they've got more drivers, and I think a guy like Gibbs can benefit from that. And so can Bubba Wallace at 18 to 1. Dude is he won Talladega, so he's won a super speedway already. He was coming on at the end of last season, and everybody hates him, so that's a good reason to bet on him.
Everyone loves a heel, loves to hate a heel. Sean, I was thinking the fans usually love the BTS stuff behind the scenes. And yes. I think a shot of what Cody sees on a regular basis. I want to know what other pictures are lying around there. I want to see the behind the curtain
of Cody's garage.
I feel like it's one of those things where we're going to find out that Cody's not wearing pants as well. It's just like,
do you want to see?
He's not. He does.
There's no pants on.
Stop. We've seen this already.
There's the behind the scenes look that'll be over on the Patreon. We'll add that to your. So make sure you purchase
Cody,
the NASCAR package.
Yeah, get that OnlyFans going. All right,
Cody,
so I just made.
I don't want to give him any more of my money.
Yeah. Cody's back again. All right, so Rod threw out a couple. Obviously Corey LaJoie. Is there anyone else that you think's maybe worth sprinkling a future on right now, as we are a couple weeks out? We obviously will all be tuning in to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast week of. Make sure we get all those sweet opportunities, the matchups, the top fives, the head-to-head, the props. Who's another driver to keep an eye on? Maybe fire on a future right now.
Yeah, I love the Ty Gibbs call out. Another guy I'm super, super high on this season. But for me, a guy I really want to look at, not so much in the outright market. He's 75 to 1, 100 to 1, depending on where you look. You could take it. But David Reagan is he's a retired NASCAR driver coming back. I think this is probably the only race he's going to run this season, and he is a super speedway ace. His top 5, top 3, that's where I'm going to be targeting. I'm seeing a top 3 for him at 25 to 1.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I think 25 to 1 on that. You probably get
what was his name again?
Don't worry.
David
I got it,
Reagan.
Sean. David Reagan.
Okay. I got a whole list.
Yeah, we got.
I'm just gonna walk up to the circuit counter and be like, "All right, give me Peggy behind the booth. I'm gonna rattle through some NASCAR picks."
The only
here.
caveat to that, he's not guaranteed to make the race. So
okay, all right.
Check with your book and their rules, and maybe wait to bet him until after qualifying. But
that would also bring more ties to last year, because Sean did. One of the bets that Sean made, they did not make the race.
No.
That is an unfortunate caveat.
Yeah. Sean trying to find the driver.
I turned it on. I'm like, where is this guy? What the hell?
Pretty good stuff.
Like $10 down the drain. Real quick, when you are betting props, like what's a fun NASCAR prop? Cody, and good time to promote this. Cody's working on a Super Bowl props post with Cut, and including some cross sports stuff as well. Maybe even get a little NASCAR in there with the Clash or whatever is kind of close to the Super Bowl. But what are some fun? What's like a fun NASCAR prop? Is it like number of crashes? Number of times getting lapped? Like, walk us through what fun props are in NASCAR.
This is Rod's section. Rod loves
you're the prop?
certain props.
I love. So I've got the number props. There's always like what the car number, the race winner. In fact, I'm looking at one right now for the Clash. Over 21.5 is at plus 164. I do like that because that gives me a very wide range of guys up to and including guys like Ty Gibbs, up to and including some Bubba Wallace in that 23 car, Tyler Reddick in that 45 car, a lot of juicy cars, Jimmy Johnson in that 44.
So, all right.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones as well. And then they've got the manufacturers. Those are a lot of fun as well, because you get Ford and Chevy and Toyota, and in certain tracks, that's a big edge. Like there's a certain race called the Toyota 400. Toyotas traditionally do well at that race. Therefore, Toyotas are a good manufacturer to bet on in that. So again, there's so many fun prop markets, and I hope they extend through the course of the season. I want to see more. I want to see laps led, over under on some of these. I want to see some of these ones that we get in F1, like the fastest pit stop and stuff.
That's what I was about to say. Check out the F1 Gambling Podcast. I've heard those hosts almost as good as we are.
Almost.
Just slightly worse. But the F1, since it's a worldwide market, they have really, really gotten into the props, and there's a lot more stuff over there. So we're starting to slowly see stuff trickle into NASCAR the F1 scene.
I think you're going to be surprised this year, because I think essentially anyone that is offering a fantasy product around NASCAR that also offers a product that may result in there being projections that you're taking higher or lower. I think you're gonna. Why not? Right? Like, I didn't expect to see target props this year in NFL, but guess what we had this year, Sean? We had target props.
Yeah,
so
Underdog had those. That's crazy.
To your point, like, the model's already there. You already have it from F1, like fastest in practice, fast qualifying props. Pit stop props, how many cars are going to qualify, guess how it works, Sean. The more action that you offer, the more action people will take, unless they host a sports gambling show.
Then they are passive.
Then there's a chance they might not be into that extra action.
I did want to go ahead and make sure that everybody knows we're not going to have any actual Daytona 500 picks. On the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We'll just skip that one and pick a different race.
You're just gonna tune in to hear them explain how it's efficient marketplace and there's no value.
Sean, we've had very limited markets, and I have a dozen bets.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
Including, like, if let's see here, if Tyler, I had to look up his name. If Tyler Reddick wins the whole thing this year, Sean, that's 4 dimes coming my way. Let's go.
Getting a new studio.
Good investment.
Well, I don't know about a new studio, but we'll have a couple drinks in Vegas.
All right, guys. A lot of fun as always. Thank you for coming on. Of course, make sure you check out the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Give them a follow on Twitter. Yeah, on the YouTube as well. Chat is very fun. I know Cody, Rod, both super active in Discord. So I'm sure if you have questions, hey, what do you like this week? They're not afraid to answer that question. And if you have questions just about betting NASCAR in general, I poke my head in there. I see what's going on, and the guys are really great at responding. So again, if you're ready to hop into some NASCAR, do yourself a favor. The show very fun. Guys have great chemistry. Highly recommend subscribe.
I'm just thinking about how I got to go do some research on Tyler Reddick now. Hopefully, I didn't make a mistake.
We're gonna dive in even deeper. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Rod. Make sure you follow them over on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
Fun fact about Tyler Reddick: I am the same size as him, if not a little bit taller.
Yeah,
okay.
He's a real small guy.
That's good. It's like
That's what you want, right?
Sean, it's like jockeys.
Yes.
Less
Smaller, faster. I like it.
You want it athletic too. Small people can be athletes too.
Let's get it.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Stacking the Money Green. He's Ryan.
Tyler Reddick.
Kramer. Let it ride.